I'm at Asner. I have important news of a promising development in the area of law and justice, and I need your help. But first, here's some background. In recent generations, very serious crimes and political scandals have occurred which have tested our judicial and law enforcement systems. Such crimes have rocked the world and have tested our values and our democracy. The United States Constitution has been a model and an inspiration for the world. It has provided noble principles which have guided and unified us for 200 years. As we've been reminded by many of our nation's leaders over the years, constant vigilance by us, the citizens of the United States, is required to protect this Constitution and our democracy. To ensure that our legal institutions operate with integrity, we need attorneys and judges to uphold the highest of legal standards. But even that is not enough. An engaged citizenry is more than just desirable. It is essential, especially in these times. But when the separate branches of government refuse to hold the others accountable, that job falls to the ultimate authority in a democracy, the people themselves. Among the most disturbing of the crimes that have tested our democracy are the horrific attacks of 9/11. 9/11 not only raised fears for our nation's safety, but has been the motivation for multiple wars with an enormous cost in human lives, with trillions of dollars spent and with no end in sight. The war on terror has been described as an endless war in which the enemy cannot even be clearly identified, let alone defeated. At the core of the war on terror is the official narrative about 9/11. The aftermath of 9/11 has brought us not only an endless string of wars, but also an unprecedented government intrusion into our privacy. As a result of 9/11, we have been living an Orwellian nightmare. Our democratic form of government and the critical checks and balances against abuse of power provided in our Constitution are at risk like never before. One would think our leaders would make every effort to solve the crimes of 9/11. But rather than enduring a full and independent investigation and adjudication of the crimes of 9/11, the official investigation has been described by astute observers as a highly orchestrated whitewash. Even commissioners who served in the official investigation complained of major roadblocks and limitations imposed on them. In plain language, there was a cover-up. Further, I'm sure you know that a necessary part of solving a crime is to examine the forensic evidence. But I bet some of you may not know that over the last 15 years, professionals in the fields of science, architecture, and engineering have accumulated a large body of forensic evidence about the crimes of 9/11 that our government has yet to acknowledge, let alone evaluate. The families of the victims, and we, the American people, deserve to have this evidence examined independently and thoroughly.
I'm wondering, did you do any explosive residue testing on any item out of the building just to lay these ideas to rest?
Answer to that is no, we did not do it.
Let's face it, nearly 15 years have gone by, and the essential truth of 9/11 remains untold. The call for justice remains unanswered. This is why I'm here, to introduce the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, a nonprofit organization which has been formed to address this exact problem. After 2 years of analysis, strategizing, and planning, the Lawyers Committee is ready to implement a carefully planned strategy to achieve the goals of transparency and accountability for the crime of 9/11. To achieve these important goals, the Lawyers Committee has committed itself to performing a thorough and independent investigation, preparing and filing a petition for a federal grand jury, and pursuing civil lawsuits, including lawsuits under the Freedom of Information Act.
The Freedom of Information Act is perhaps the most powerful instrument we have for making our government honest and transparent.
Why is this so important now? Because this may be one of our last opportunities to expose the falsehoods of the official 9/11 narrative that has cost us so much in money, lives, international respect and prestige, and our constitutional rights. Just as important, this is our best chance to investigate and expose the private and illegal agenda behind the ongoing global war on terror, which began as a result of 9/11. The encouraging news is, with the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, we now have a team of experienced lawyers dedicated to pick up where previous investigations left off and do the work that I expect will have truly historic consequences. I'm pleased to announce that I proudly agreed to serve on this board of directors. The Lawyers Committee's attorneys, researchers, and investigators have been donating their time. Their new executive director is donating 12 months of his time. Now, what's required is your support. Time is of the essence. Think of it as an investment in justice for all those adversely affected by the 9/11 attacks, and an investment in creating a positive political and social framework for the sake of future generations. Together, we can reestablish the United States as a great nation, preserve our democratic republic, and restore our standing in the world. Again, I'm Ed Asner. Thank you.